Hi everybody, I'm Don Balance and welcome to this quick overview of the new NewTek TriCaster TCXD850 control surface. Let's go ahead and take a look at the surface itself. The control surface is separated into a few different areas. We've got our main switching area here with our program bus, our preview bus, and our utility row. Up here we have a whole nother switcher section, and this is for setting up our virtual inputs. We have an area for working with our live set zooms. We have an area for delegating what's going to happen to the utility bus. We have our positioner area, our media player area, and our transitional control area. Let's go ahead and start out talking about a basic switch. If you want to switch between preview and program, this is going to be considered a background switch. We're basically dealing with 4 video layers when we're dealing with this new TriCaster interface and the control surface. So we've got what we're referring to as the background layer. And the background layer is the basic switch between preview and program. Next, we have DSK1 and DSK2 layered on top of our background switch. And finally, we have a fade to black layer which can cover everything with black, including fading your audio. Let's take a look at how this works. I'm going to select background, and I have the ability to say whether I want to do a fade or a transition. I'm going to go ahead with fade, and I have inputs 3 on preview and 4 on program. Executing a transition is going to transition from preview to program. That's our background transition. Now, I also have the ability to bring up my DSKs. So I can hold down the background button and press DSK, and you'll notice both of those lights are now active. Now, when we perform a switch, you'll see that not only does it do the switch, but it also brings up that DSK. Let's go ahead and switch that and take it back out. Hold down background and press DSK 1 and 2, and now you'll perform a switch and bring up both of your downstream keys at the same time. You also have controls for independently accessing your downstream keys, being able to bring them up one at a time by themselves, or if you've got them both up, now you could come over and select just DSK 1 and 2 and not the background, and use the auto button to remove your DSKs. Something very important to remember is that pressing auto does not always do a transition. This may just be bringing DSKs on and off the screen, and this is something that you really need to be aware of during a live switch. You also have the ability to select what transition you want to use. So we can go ahead and select our transition by using this little knob right here. And of course, we can select the speed of the transition either by pressing on the rate knob to go to slow, medium, or fast, or twisting the rate knob to go somewhere in between slow, medium, and fast. Just know you can always get back to the presets no matter where you are by hitting the knob as a button. You also have your 4th video layer over here, your fade to black layer. So no matter what we have active here, let's go ahead and bring everything up, including our downstream keys. If you engage fade to black and you do a transition, it will fade everything out, including any audio that you might have playing. Now, we also have a utility bus here on right above our preview and program, and this was the old effects bus. Now, it can still be used as an effects bus, but it can also be used for a few other operations. Right here we have the ability to delegate what's going to be happening with our utility bus, and it can be used as an effects row, and it works just like a traditional effects row. If I bring up an input that is keyed, I can use this as the effects row to choose what we're going to key those people over. It can be any of the inputs coming into the TriCaster, no problem. Now, we also, go ahead to my virtual input here, we can also use this as our selection for DSKs. So if I click DSK1 and I hit stills, stills are now going to be used for DSK1. Hit DSK2 and hit titles. I've now selected titles as the source for DSK2, and I haven't had to go to the interface and use a pop-down menu in order to be able to do this. You can also adjust what's happening on the video auxiliary out. And again, it will run through all of the inputs that you have here, but there are more things that we may want to be able able to assign to auxiliary video out. You may want it to be program or preview or the clean feed. Well, you can accomplish this as well by using the shift key. The shift key will change what the buttons on the utility row are doing, and you can see right on the interface in the utility delegate area what is being selected for auxiliary out. It could be preview, it could be program, or it can be program clean. Let's go ahead and talk about our virtual inputs. We have an area here for working with our virtual inputs, and you can select whatever virtual input you want to use simply by clicking your V1 through 8 buttons here. And if you've got the TriCaster set up to follow the tabs, it's automatically going to open those tabs for you as you come through. You also have the ability to turn follow preview on right here from the control surface, and now whatever you punch up on preview is going to be what opens up as far as the setup tab for that virtual input. You have your area here for setting up the internal switcher in any virtual input. For instance, I go to virtual input number 1. I can choose my input A can either be Kiki or Kiki and Rex from inputs 1 and 2. Again, right now I'm using DDR2 to feed the graphics into the background, but let's go to a different virtual set here. I'm going to go to virtual input number 3. And on virtual input number 3, you can see that I can switch out what's happening on input B very quickly and easily. I can put up a DDR, I can put up stills or titles or any live input. We can also, of course, change the talent as well. Now, you've got an overlay bus available here, allowing you to adjust what you're going to use as your overlay that's locked down to your virtual input. And of course, we have frame buffer support here. So I have a frame buffer already locked in, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to fade that up, fade that down, and you have the ability to take it on and off as well using your take and auto overlay buttons that are associated with the virtual input switcher. Now, we also have an area for controlling media players, and you can select either of the DDRs, the stills, the titles, or the sound player and control them with the transport controls. You can go forward and backward through the presets available for those media players and turn on loop, single, or autoplay by using the buttons right from the control surface. We also have a positioner, and the positioner will allow us to position any of the inputs in the TriCaster in real time. So, for instance, let's go ahead and bring up our overlay on our virtual input, and from the positioner area here, I'm going to select the virtual overlay as the thing that I want to go ahead and delegate the positioner to. Now you've got position and scale, rotation and crop, and a reset button. We'll start with position and scale. This is a 3-axis joystick, and by twisting the joystick, I can scale the input up and down. By pushing the joystick left and right and up and down, we can position. Now once I get it scaled and positioned, I'm going to hit the rotate button. I can now rotate this input, again, by either going up, down, left, or right, or twisting. You have all 3 axes available. And you do have a reset button, which will reset whatever axis you currently have selected. So to reset rotation, you hit rotation reset. To reset scale and position, you would have to turn scale and position on and hit reset as well. Now you can delegate this to virtual input A as well. Let's go ahead and take our overlay off. And I can go to virtual input A, and I can now scale the talent with the joystick just as easily. We can position the talent, move it around, and the same thing can be done for the on-screen monitor. We can position this and scale the video that's happening in that on-screen monitor. We can move it around and get it exactly where we want it to be. Again, resetting it is as easy as 1 mouse click. Now, from the positioner area, you have the ability to also use this as a virtual zoom for the virtual set. So if I turn on virtual zoom, now I can push forward and I can pull back on the joystick, and this will allow me to control the zoom on the virtual set. And you also can use this as a jog shuttle for a DDR. So if I go ahead and bring up a DDR, for instance, and I turn on shuttle, I can now shuttle through that clip forward and back by using the positioner joystick. There are controls for controlling the zoom level on your virtual set as well. and you can snap to the 4 different levels of zoom that we have available. Or you have the ability to turn on animate zoom and animate that zoom over time. There's also a selector here for the zoom rate to be able to adjust it, and again, you can do this on the fly, and you can press it to set it to the presets, or you can twist it to go in between or beyond any of the presets that are available. Just above that, you've got an area for starting and stopping the record process of the TriCaster, starting and stopping the stream process of the TriCaster, and starting and stopping or grabbing an image right off of program. Now, if you do start the recording process or the streaming process, in order to stop it, you need to hold down Control and then hit record to stop it. Just hitting record again will not stop that recording process for you. Now, we do have these qualifier keys here, the Shift, Alt, and Control, and they are being used. For instance, if I hold down Control, you'll notice my preview bus will show me any input that is currently using LiveMat, and that's inputs 1 and 2. And while holding down Control, you can actually turn LiveMat on and off simply by pressing the buttons on the preview bus. This is a basic overview of the control surface, and one other thing to be aware of that's actually part of the new software is you now have a true look-ahead preview, which means I'm going to go ahead and switch this over to my switcher monitor mode, and if I have the switcher just set to background, and let's put a different input there on preview, it's going to show me what I'm going to switch to on the preview monitor. But if I tell it I want to do background and DSK1, notice that that DSK shows up on preview even though it's not currently active or being positioned. So it's giving me a true look-ahead preview as to what's going to happen when I execute that switch. Again, if I want to go ahead and add DSK1 and 2, again I get a true look-ahead preview of exactly what's going to happen. If I turn background off and I only turn on DSK1, notice that if I do a transition, the background's not going to change. The only thing that's going to happen is that DSK is going to become active on program out, and that's what's being shown to me on preview. It's a true look-ahead preview. I hope this overview has been a help to you, and there will be a more polished video coming out very soon, not only for a demonstration, but also a Get Started training video for the control surface. I look forward to all of you having a lot of success selling this new control surface with the TriCaster TCXD850.